learn many other things. But first, be a master of one before being a jack of everyone. First, being a master of one. So that was the essence. So due to these convenience aspects and diminishing reminiscing capacity, Vedavyasa had installed this system. If Vedavyasa had not done this, what would have happened? People would have had the liberty, to choose anything they wanted, and probably not choosing anything also. When you say samuchaya or the vikalpa means you have the options. Okay, you can have Mysore pak or dosa or bhaji or something, or probably I will not take anything. Once you say, this Vamsharshi has imparted you this thing, you have to study this. Otherwise, you have the alibi to say, oh, it's very huge, very vast, I cannot master everything, it's beyond my reasonable limits. And people may also tend to become more and more idle also. So, at least there should be some institution which stipulates that you have to study at least this part. So, that sort of convenience was instituted by Vedavyasa. But for him, the system would not have happened. But even before that, when the Krita Jagat, Treta Jagat, Dvapara Jagat, many yajnas had happened. Everyone was mastering all the important respective Veda Shakhas or Veda Mantras in all the three branches.
Okay, now continuing on the line of, I'll just take a few more minutes of yours, on the line of convenience. When we have a child learning a poetry, if it is put in a tune, so he remembers it better. But in case of Samaveda, the tunes are not really very simple to, imbibe. So it is not that kind of convenience which was sought when they made Samaveda. Samaveda seems to be another step complication. I have seen many families where there are 10 boys, but only 2 boys are able to sing the Samaveda of Swashaka. So why was this additional complication put on Samaveda when it is already a complicated matter?
I think the first premise of treating this as a complicated matter, I do not agree with that. See, it's again relative. If you say a plus b whole square is a square plus 2ab plus b square. If I say this, it's very complicated means an algebra student will just laugh at this thing. It's very simple. And a person who does not know typing, if you just give him one page, oh, this is too huge, I can't handle this. So lack of exposure will actually make your mind think that, oh, it's very complicated. But it's not actually that complicated, because human intelligence has immense power, and we are only realizing and a part of its potential. We are not in full. So it's not actually that complicated as it seems. Memorization part, in general, some of the analytical aspects are increasing in these days, but the memorization part is losing its sheen. As we say, even to say 120 plus 320 is how much, you just pull out your mobile and just use your calculator. Because that sort of mind power is not being realized and used these days. But analytical part, actually, human brain, it's gaining at some parts, sometimes it's actually diminishing. Okay, now Samaveda, as you said, it is being more complicated. But first let us understand, those you are asking the specifics of Samaveda. Let me explain why Samaveda came into fore actually. Why Samaveda came into fore? No, let us listen to one Sama, and let's see, does it has any meaning which is relevant to the context. Okay? He will just sing one Sama. Just sing one.
Om Nadi Ayahi Voito Yai Toyai Krinano Yada Toyai Toyai Nai Ho Tasa Saiba Oh
any sense. But what is exactly made out of it? You have a soothing sound here. Some musical sense has to be innate in any person to sing anything. Otherwise, even the most catchiest filmy tune cannot be repeated by a person unless he has some innate musical sense in him. So we are not exactly aware of whether he has a sense or not. So as we refer to a particular 7 or 8 persons, probably lack of exposure to listening the music, be it in the form of sama or by some lullaby songs or something, that might have diminished their chances of learning those aspects. But there is one particular contextual reference in the Mimamsa Shastra. When he says, havu, 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 does it have any meaning? Why are you wasting all your time singing something like this?
Textually doesn't seem to have any meaning. But the
Mimamsa
sound...
says, what is the use of it? What is the use of Samaveda? It is totally nonsense. Mimamsa Shastra means I am talking about the Purva Paksha, not the Siddhanta. It's nonsense. You can't make any sense out of it. This is something like that. Tadarinana. What is meant by that? Nothing. Tadarina. La 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 la. What is meant by that? Nothing. Na, ra, ra, ra. What is nana nana? What is la la la? Does it have any meaning? No. But does that not convey some feeling to you? It obviously does. It obviously does. So, if you think that it is complication, it is complication. If it is not, it is not. That's why I said I use the word as improvisation. As the Westerners rightly call it, improvisation. Improve something which is there. Why are you improving it? Not to convey a literary sense to something, to give a feel to that. To give a feel to that. That is why when we speak, the modulation of the voice changes according to the context. When a child is hurt by an injury, he says, oh, what has happened? It shouldn't have happened. You can utter in the other ways also. That modulation, conveyance of the feeling is the essence of Samagana.
Okay.
That is the reason why Samaveda is uttered. Purposefully, they decipher, they dissect each word. Sometimes we fail to understand the reason behind that. When he said, Ognaji Ayahi, Ognaji, actually it is Agna Ayahi. Agna should have been Ogna. Gnaji means Gne. As I said, A, I, O are Sandhyaksharas. Wherever there is a Sandhyakshara, they will make it a point to break it into two. It is not to convey some literary sense in it, but the feel of the heart. That is the reason of Samaveda. That is why Stobha Padas, as they are called, havu, such words. Even if they do not have a literary meaning in it, the conveyance of the heart's feeling to the highest. That is the purpose of Samaveda. That's why they said there is Apurva in it. Apurva is, it's not a repetition. Though the same, to convey the same literary sense, the Hota, the Ritvik might have called Agna Aya Hevi Taje Grudano Havgida Taje Nihata Satsi Barihishi, or something like this. In the Ekashruti, he might have uttered these lines, but something more intricate, heartfelt sense is being conveyed by Samaveda. That is the reason Samas are called. That is why it is not a repetition. Once it is repetition means it will be Purva only. Apurva means, Apurva is Mimamsa parlance, Apurva is Punya. Once which is unrepeated, that is the Apurva. Okay. So something new sense. It's not nonsense or it's a nuisance. It's a new feel is being conveyed. That is through Sama. So that is why the Kanthaswara or the singing style are very important, because they are giving a new shade to the existing Sama.
Okay. Sir, what is your opinion about the rishis putting the numbers for swara rather than putting Nishad Pancham these? What is the reason for that?
Nishada, Panchama, Shadja, Gandhara, Madhyama, Rishabha are just as symbols. Just as symbols. Just to say, to 127 by 127, if you want me to write in English, you write 127. So these days they call it Arabic numerals, but whereas we firmly believe that they are the origination point is India only. If you want to write them in Kannada, they use a different
Script.
different symbol to represent the same feel. To represent the same feel, they use different symbols. If you go to Chinese, they will use something similar. So the feel remains the same, though the symbol varies. Okay. So when I said in Samaveda, you can just see here, when they are using 1, 2, 3, 4, they are actually a visual representation of an existing feeling. It's only for the pure. It does not have any scriptural sanction. You have to remember that. This system does not have any scriptural sanction saying that unless Narada Siksha or some Shaunaka Maharshi or someone has said that you have to write a 2 ra about this letter, otherwise you will lose all your punya. No one has said that. Or you will become a Brahmarakshasa. No one has cursed that. It's only for our mere convenience. Okay, some system has to be done. Why you should walk on the left side in India and why on the right side in the America? Because someone has started it for mutual convenience. We had developed one system. We are following it. Some system has to be followed. Okay, let's follow this. There is no harm in it. If there is a scope for improvisation, we should do that. Similarly, in Sangeeta they say Sarigamagpa, insert la 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 la, and below that they write the Sahitya. If you follow the similar system, you should write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Suppose the teacher wants to put it in more clearly, Sarigama Pada, Sarigama Pa. So it's a visual representation, a symbol which to suit our mind and which is more easier for identification. That's the only purpose. Whether you write as Rishada, this thing. But whereas Narada Siksha has given 2 sets of names also. 2 sets of names also. It is also called by these names. It is also called by these names also. Prathama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturtha, Mandra, Atiswara, Krushta. These are the 7 swaras which are given this. And Taittiriya Pratishaksha also gives the same names. And where there is the Traiswarya aspect or the Chatuswarya aspect comes into 4, then they say Nishade Rashabha Gandharaha, Udatta Rashabha Daivataha. So, Udatta, Swarita, Anuswara has aspects of the other swaras. But the more intricate question, what we should actually analyze is that how it is produced, what levels. For that, some more scientific assistance, scientific aids and modern gadgets would do us a lot of help in exactly pinpointing and creating a genome of the entire swara. Probably we require some more modern advancements in the technology using which with which we should be able to perfectly pinpoint and give out the mapping.
Okay. So now coming to the specific of Sama, 1 or 2 Sama, if you can just take that Preshtamva, which I had pointed out last time. It is repeated everywhere. Preshtamva का जो पहला है दूसरा है, दोनों में एक तो प्रेष्ठम्वा है, दूसरा प्रेष्ठम्वा ऐसा है. तो वो गाने के टाइम आप प्रेष्ठम्वा जब होता है तब आप श्रुति पे जाते हैं. प्रेष्ठम्वा पंचम, although it is written 4, अब देखेंगे जरा. Just 4 minutes, not more than that. अभी ये जो है यहाँ पे 4 लिखा है प्रेष्ठम्वा, लेकिन आप गाते जब हैं सर प्लीज.
Yes, I'm attentive.
प्रेष्ठम्वा.
ना ये जो है यहाँ पे 4 लिखा है, लेकिन आप जाते हैं श्रुति पर
प्रेष्ठम्वा
और आप दिखा रहे 4.
Okay. that's a the correlation between the Hastaswara and the Kanthaswara is actually asked upon by us. This is a very important question which is relevant because, as I said, there are two aspects of it. Sama conveys a feel of the heart. That's what I said. And for that, Kanthaswara is very important, and according to many of us, that is the most important thing, Kanthaswara. And the Hastaswara, which is supposed to be the basis for the Kanthaswara, had lost its connection with the Kanthaswara somewhere in the lineage.
Okay.
It has almost, sometimes it is matching and sometimes it is almost extinct. The connect between the Hastaswara and the Kanthaswara are not named. These days, many Shastra Granthas, if we take the Lakshana Shastra Granthas, the picture what they give is actually represented in the Hastaswara. One of the aspects mentioned by you that some of the students are not able to exactly pronounce or sing the way it should be sung. Out of 10, only 2 were able to replicate it, not the other 8 you said. Probably the importance of Hastaswara might have increased from the point of an incapacitated person.
Okay.
This is not to diminish the importance of this thing. Even in the Sangeeta, they use the Hastaswara to make it a higher one, longer one, intricate one, gamaka, etc. They use the hand. And to give the tala aspect of it, they use this thing. But nevertheless, it does not take away the importance of the Kanthaswara, because this is the most important communication, effective communication of giving you the feel. Unfortunately, due to the passage of time, the Kanthaswara aspect, though it is almost similar in many parts, it has many variations. And there is no single text which determines that this should have been this Kanthaswara or this should not be. That niyamaka, that regulatory mechanism is almost extinct. Whatever is available on this day for Samaveda is confined to the Hastaswara. All the Lakshana Granthas says this thing. And the Ashtadasha Vikara Bhavas, the derivative mechanisms which are evolved for Samaveda, those parts actually are, they give some sort of literary explanation for the dissection of a syllable. As they said, Agnayi means Agne has become Ayi Bhava. Ashtadasha Bhava Vikaras. So that aspect is conveyed. How to dissect a syllable, how to join it, how to repeat it. And the Hastaswara will give you the number of each letter to be in the dissection, what is the number to be assigned to each one. But the exact representation of the Hastaswara is not present in the Kanthaswara. Neither in the Richa, sometimes mostly in Rik, Archika Bhaga of Samaveda, it is prevalent, but not in the Samagana. So at least if we need to preserve a system, the best aspect would be at least to chronicle the Kanthaswara aspect as it is prevalent on this date. Probably some sort of samanvaya, or the matching it, or improvisation it, or calibration is that's the correct word. Calibration of the Kanthaswara with the Hastaswara might be a reality probably in a generation or two. That should be our ultimate aim, because all the Lakshana Shastras point out to the Hastaswara. And Kanthaswara aspects are also there, but hardly a practitioner realizes the actual conveyance or the application of the Lakshana. Lakshya is Samagana, Lakshana are the Sutras, and the application part of it, most of them are actually they have become almost oblivious to these things. They have gone into oblivion. And Guru Sampradaya, of course, is very important, but citing Guru Sampradaya, the regulatory mechanism is very conveniently put to the background.
Okay.
So, our research aspect should be on the preservation of the Kanthaswara and analysis of the Hastaswara and the dissection of each syllable and application of the entire this thing and calibrating all the three into one. How we can have do the samanvaya for Hastaswara and the Kanthaswara if some calibration is required in one way or the both the ways. That sort of research would be very much relevant to the original context of Samaveda, so that we are preserving the pristine purity of Samaveda.
Sir, what it implies is that we need to have a new system of numbering also in that case.
Suppose if it is convenient to a practitioner, we need not shy away from this. We need not shy away from this, because as I said, no Shruti or no Vedavakya has made it mandatory to you to ask, put this number only. If you deem convenient, you can also put other things also.
Thank you very much for the interview. And as you have directed, we are going in the same direction. At the last point which you said, we are going in the same direction, and we request you to keep helping us in this manner.
Certainly, through many of our enterprising young scholars, we are also we are in the process of academic research also. So many of our young scholars are quite bubbling and enthusiastic, and they would also like to participate and carry out these research activities once they finish the contemporary texts. And they have their inquisitive mind, which I very much appreciate, because the inquisitive mind will make you think out of the box. You are not bound by these four walls.
Right.
So I hope that together we should be able to do many more good things.
I really look forward to it.
Sure. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru.